And Sarah, we are live. Welcome to Sweet Tea with Emily.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's good to see you.
Most of the time, I try to log on at least 5 minutes, if not 10 minutes early, to give my guests a little bit of warm up and comfort. Sarah got a solid 5 seconds with me backstage.
Well, that's because we know each other well, Emily. So the less prep the less prep for me, the better, because the more nervous I would be. So we're good.
I totally knew that subconsciously. All right, Sarah, first question. What can I get you to drink?
Well, sadly, I don't have one in front of me. I should have prepared better, but it would have been a Red Bull. I'm a loyalist through and through. Having worked for a Red Bull for 4 years early on in my career, that's what keeps me going throughout the day if I need one. But boringly enough, right now I'm drinking water. So
it must be boring day, because that is my drink of choice as well right now. It's just a plain old water. I probably will end up adding some type of stir in. Oh, cheers.
Yeah.
So I'd like the mason jar. That's, speaking to my Southern roots there, even though it's super trendy now.
It's just easy, refill, no trash.
I love it. This is on the go. So Sarah, you're my first quote unquote competitor on Sweet Tea with Emily. You and I are very similar in the sense where we are so open and transparent with each other about all things recruiting, where you have given me so many amazing takeaways that I actively implement with Hire Integrated. Where did you get this openness, this ability to just be okay with sharing and elevating our industry? Where did this come from?
I think there aren't any secrets. I'm not reinventing the wheel. It's honestly, I don't think it's anything special that I do. I just think that we can all make each other better. And you inspire me to be more open and honest because you're that way. So I'm just kind of I learned from great people, and I want to continue to do the same. And maybe some people can learn from me. And so, I'm happy to share what I've got going on and what isn't working as well, because there's plenty of that too.
Right. No, I love that you said that, because I feel like it's a compliment to see what someone else is doing and want to kind of take it and recycle it in a way that's meaningful for you and your company. And so, reinventing the wheel that already exists. I have done that. You've inspired me to do that in the way that my company presents candidates to hiring managers, the post follow-up after placement. Girl, you are involved in such a detailed way in every start of your business. I tell you all the time, why in the world are you just not doing exclusive retained search? Because of the amount of time and attention and how thoughtful you are about every single detail of the process. It's phenomenal, Sarah, phenomenal. Are you there yet? Are you 100% retained search? Are we getting there?
I'm getting there. I wish I could say yes. In this industry, contingent was started by someone somewhere a very long time ago, and it's still kind of expected in certain realms, and certainly at certain levels of the organization, right? But for the more executive level, it is all retained. So I'm proud of that. It's been a long road getting there, but it's certainly been a lot of learning along the way. And to your compliment on the level of detail, I think probably where I struggle the most is whether it's contained or retained. I'm not gonna not provide the same level of detail on a contained search just because it's not prepaid, so to speak. Just sort of my set point, my natural set point is to just provide the same level of service at all levels of the organization. And maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should make it more exclusive at a higher level, but it's not my nature. I can't just send an email with a submittal saying, here's this person and here's where you should hire them. It's I think that everybody deserves a great experience. And that's why I started Search Heights, was to provide a great experience for everybody involved.
Sarah and I have partnered on some searches in the past, and it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made to get insight into working with kind of a world class executive recruiter. I mean, Sarah, you would include me on the emails where you would send kind of a thorough update in the email, but then also a video of yourself talking more about the activity throughout the week, the amount of information you provided on candidates and how you presented it, even to after the search being closed, your post follow-up interaction as meaningful it is. Like I'm here to tell the world, like I have learned so much from you on executive search, and excited to see where Search Hike goes. Matter of fact, you and I got together for dinner last month to celebrate kind of one of your biggest placements made to date. What level of detail do you feel comfortable sharing with us about kind of that? And no, I invited a lot of recruiters to kind of hang out with you and I today. So I anticipate to have a pretty strong talent acquisition audience out there. So give us some tips about this ginormous search that you successfully landed.
Yeah, thank you. I recently placed a CFO with a private home builder in Las Vegas, and they're a luxury home builder. Mid-sized company, been around for 18 years, very, very prominent in Las Vegas. And, they were really looking for somebody with a very high capability in finance, in accounting, somebody with the ability to structure debt and equity, do cap raising, a true leader, somebody who fit in really well with the executive leadership team. And this had been, it was a challenging search, I'll be frank, because this person likely wasn't located in Las Vegas. So the local market was not going to support this candidate. We were looking for somebody from a private company because this company I worked with is private. So somebody with that specific type of experience. So we ended up finding somebody after a 4-month search from New York, and he moved to town a couple months back, and he's been very successful in the role, starting out. So yeah, really proud of that. And, look, I mean, it's not an easy search. It might sound easy or fun or, oh, she placed the CFO, but I approached 450 people, Emily, on this search. No joke. I mean, emails, texting. I'm texting CFOs of companies. I mean, it's relentless to find these people and get them on the phone. They're busy, they're running companies, essentially. They're the finance leaders of these big organizations, big and small, and they're really tough to find. So calling, emailing, texting, I mean, multiple times. And so it was a lot of work and the most rewarding project of my career. Absolutely. I mean, of all the different industries and roles I've had, whether it's sales, consulting, executive search, certainly the most rewarding and interesting and challenging role project that I've done so far. So yeah, I'm really proud of that.
And it really warranted our steak dinner celebration. I think we ended up doing 2 or 3 appetizers on top of the steak.
Wow, that's fun. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was a huge milestone. I would love to flash Sarah's fee amount. Just say it was ginormous. It was great. And the thing that I'm going to put you on the spot is they originally went with another retained agency that wasn't successful, and it was a big one. And I love the fact that more of a small boutique executive search firm, which I can relate with, said, you know what, we want a lot of attention on this. And sometimes it's not in our best interest to go with the well-known executive search firms based out of, the New York cities. And I won't name drop here, but can you talk to us a little bit about the client's decision to leave a really well-known executive search firm and come with someone that was definitely more hands-on, more of that boutique feel? Tell me a little bit about that win.
And this has happened in the past with other searches of mine. I've developed, I don't know whether it's a reputation for or the ability to outcompete my competitors, so to speak. But I get a lot of business from companies who, You know, and I don't want to add too much color here because I don't want to speak for anyone
Sure,
else. But I
sure.
think my experience has just been aren't seeing the results that they have come to expect from these large, multi-billion-dollar firms and companies. And so, I don't know all the ins and outs of all the details of them coming to me, but I will say I had been successful with this client in placing a vice president of financial planning and analysis a few months prior. So I had proven myself. They knew my work product. They knew my attention to detail and how involved I am in the business. And I think that was the main reason they came to me. And they did their due diligence on a lot of other firms, and rightfully so. And I was lucky enough to be able to work with them. So I'm really grateful for that. But,
Well, you're
point,
showing a lot of grace. I think the thing that is the important takeaway here is that sometimes being the big fish in this situation, our clients, our hiring clients in a small pond is going to warrant a lot of attention and a lot of dedication and time and attention and commitment where there's great benefit to that as well. And I think you win really well in that situation. I think when it comes to hire integrated, our kind of thing is, yes, we do executive search, but I would say because we partner with companies that are growing, we hire a lot of different positions for that particular company. We tend to have our pulse on candidates that started their careers here, they've left, they're now an executive, and they want to get back to the Utah market. And I think where you and I have partnered up on has been really kind of the accounting and finance world. How in the world did we get into accounting and finance search, Sarah? How did that happen? What's your story?
I fell into it. I mean, it's just funny. I don't think I heard somebody say the other day, nobody really raises their hand and says, "Can I become a recruiter?" People kind of fall into it, and it's interesting.
I did, Sarah. I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Did.
So I think that's great.
No one can relate to me on that. I haven't found many people that say, "Yeah, I asked to be a recruiter." They're always like, "I got asked," and I was like, "Sure, why not? Sounds like fun."
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened for me. And I wish I'd known about recruiting much earlier on. I think I'd have a lot longer track record, specifically in recruiting. I've been in the people business for 15 years, but in executive search, I wish I'd known about it, because I think I'm just sort of, it's just the perfect fit for me. I get to do a lot of different things, have my hands in a lot of different pots, and I love that about it. But, accounting and finance specifically, I just got hired by a firm that did accounting and finance search, and I learned it. I got to know it. I like working with these candidates. They're interesting and bright and a little introverted like myself. You might be surprised to learn, but I am an introvert. And so I can relate to, recruiting other introverts. So I ran with it. Why reinvent the wheel when I started Search Heights almost 4 years ago? I just went with accounting and finance because I'd been successful in it.
Very successful.
What about you? How did you fall into accounting and finance?
I may have said this earlier, not on this conversation, but to you. So if I'm being a little bit repetitive, I'll go through it fast. But my senior year in college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I got really bad advice from a professor. And he said, just start cold calling companies and introduce yourself. And I did. And I was at a job fair and I was telling a recruiter my approach to finding a job. And he was like, "You're kidding. You do that for yourself. Can we pay you to do that for other people?" And I was like, "That sounds like a dream."
That's amazing. Well, yeah. I've never heard of anyone cold calling just to get it. That's brilliant. Yeah, I can see you being good at that too.
I was naive.
Want to talk to you.
I was naive, Sarah. I was naive, right? And so
perfect.
Yeah, it's totally naive. So I was looking for a job, introducing myself. Why I did not get on a job board and just apply, or why that wasn't the advice I got, is beyond me. So I just capitalized on doing that for Robert Half Finance early on in early 2000s. And went through my first recession. Again, being naive, I had no idea what a recession was. And that's actually kind of took me from being good to great,
Yeah.
stretching through that type of experience, which
Yeah.
was
That's
great.
awesome. Yeah, if you can get through that, you can get through really anything. I mean, it can't get as bad as it was back then again. So nobody's going to let that happen. So that's incredible experience. Good for you.
Knock on wood. You say that so confidently. I'm going to go ahead and believe that. But no, I appreciate that. Sarah, you invited me to your house and you made the best homemade pasta that still my husband and I still talk about to this day. I did drive up in a snowstorm, but I totally came empty handed to that dinner, and you still made me feel so welcome around the dinner table. A lot of times when I invite guests onto my show, it's all about kind of just human to human connection. And even though you consider yourself an introvert, which my last week's guest kind of did as well, like, you sure do know how to make people feel so heard and so welcomed, and just you're so kind. Tell me tips and tricks for those out there that are looking to build a connection with a recruiter, a hiring manager. Like, give us some tips and tricks on your methodology for building such a meaningful connection with others.
Well, look, I mean, food always works, I feel like. But, to build a connection with a recruiter, just call us. Look, we call people all day long, every day. And when somebody actually calls us back or just calls to check in, or I have a CPA I placed about a year and a half ago who we consistently have lunch together. And like, I don't have another job for him. I'm not going to recruit him out of a client I placed him in. That's against, kind of my ethics, right? But he just wants to have, we just like having lunch together. He's interesting. And I get to learn about, what's going on in accounting. And, he stays up we could talk about the market, or he travels. So things like that. But it's just so nice when people actually reach out to us and they just say, hey, look, how you doing? Do you have anything? Even if it's not about, do you have a job for me? It's it's just nice to be reached out to as a recruiter, because we do so much outreach ourselves. And then I think with accounting and finance folks, they really want to know, they're data driven and they really want to know about the market. So if you're a recruiter and you're reaching out to these folks, know about the market, know what's going on, know that we're, about 25% down this year over last year. Talk about why, talk about what you're seeing, talk about, what's coming in next year. What are the trends in hiring? Talk about AI. These, people want information and something interesting that they can pass along to their people. In some way to create value around conversations. We're all kind of starved for these connections. So those are ways that I've seen work, and it furthers the conversation. So that's what works for me.
No, I totally resonate with that. My email on my LinkedIn is crazy. And I'm just going to go ahead and make a PSA right now. I don't check them. And it's not because I don't care about some of the valuable messages in there. It's just inundated. I'm not going to say hundreds, well, a week, yes, but I don't check emails. And I am always trying to kind of figure out, for even higher integrated, how to stand out in a really crowded space, right? And the folks that, since we're on the LinkedIn platform, I'll kind of give this as an example, that really engage with my posts and they follow higher integrated and they're kind of our biggest cheerleaders. I see those people, I take note in it. And it's always a good reminder for me when I kind of go into trying to build an intentional connection with someone, because I feel like I have value to add. I need to kind of take my own advice, right? Don't send a sales message. Find the person, find out their platform, find out what they're doing. Let them know that you want to support them so that you are much better positioned to say, I know what I'm getting into. I know what I'm asking. I've followed enough. I've listened enough. I've observed enough. I've engaged enough. I feel really passionate that I have something to offer, or we can help each other by spending time with each other. It's so meaningful. Going back to I interrupted you. Go ahead, Sarah.
I was going to say it is, and maybe I should have been more specific when I said, call us back or reach back out. But I really enjoy it when people call me back, or when people just call me and say, what's going on in the market? I mean, like for someone to call me and ask me what's going on in the market, it feels so good because like I actually know what's going on in the market and they want to know. And so I'm happy to provide some value there. So anyway, just to be a little bit more specific there.
Yeah, sometimes I have to be explicit with a candidate. I'm trying to really get their attention, saying there's not going to be any harm if I just give you market data and kind of what comps are in this role and what's happening and why this industry is hiring and why they're focused on this. And that helps you in your current position at your current company, then absolutely, right?
Absolutely. Comps, that's a good point too, is comps. Lately I've been asked a lot of questions about compensation from clients or prospective clients. And, the compensation, especially in accounting and finance, has changed so much over the past couple of years that employers are wondering, am I paying the right amount? I don't want to lose these people. It costs more. It costs about $100,000 a head for me to, lose and replace a personnel on my team than it does to bump them 10, 15 grand a year. So they want to know what's the new compensation range for XYZ positions, and to do a little bit of recon on your end as the search consultant, it's really worth your time and just providing that value.
That's right. My first employer had salary guides. They still do.
They do.
They were always highly, highly requested, but they also came with a high, high level of critique. And so anytime there was an applicable search where you can get real-time market data from a recruiter about conversations that they're having with people in those roles today, in that market, in that industry, like so worth taking the phone call, right?
It is. Yeah. And it's interesting. It's interesting to ask them back, okay, I just gave you these numbers. How does that sit with you? How does that compare with what you're currently paying? And how much of a bump would that be for these individuals? So it's worth it to provide that intel and value, but it's also valuable for us to sort of bounce that off these companies too.
That's right. Sarah, we're coming up on the 22-minute mark. I want to ask one more question, and then we're going to go into a new feature created last week by Nate Bradshaw, a lightning round. Okay. You are my girl when it comes to quality detail, crossing every T, dotting every I in the executive search process. You recently got certified. I have had really amazing experiences and really negative experiences with what certifications do with my candidates being considered and kind of losing out on some really amazing candidates because of those dang certifications. Talk to me a little bit about what you went through, your experience, why you did it, and kind of give me the 60-second overview.
Well, the 60-second overview is, look, I'll be completely honest. I lost out on a really interesting, exciting search because I wasn't certified in a particular personality assessment. And I was mad because I hadn't gotten that certification myself because I'm very competitive. I don't want to lose out on any, opportunities ever. So I went and got certified in 4 different areas, one of which is called the Hogan assessments, and they're really known as the gold standard. And it does a massive deep dive into, what your motives, values, and preferences are in not only working for a company, but it shows you your day-to-day, your day-to-day normal self, number one, your day-to-day under stress, and then what your values are and how those align with the potential role and a potential company you're considering working for. So that one's very in depth. And then I did some other certifications, the DISC, which is a pretty high level, not as in depth, the 12 driving forces and the EQ through TTI. So just, and I'll probably get certified in 17 other things, so I don't lose out on any more business. But that's what you have to do, and it's just a really in-depth look into why is this person a fit? Why isn't this person a fit? And do they match up? And how will they achieve occupational success within this role? So it's very interesting to me.
It is interesting. I'm a critic of those, and there's a few I found that I do use, but it's one point of data, right? I really always encourage hiring managers before they're going to determine, a candidate not to move forward because of the results of that, to look at all the points of data and consideration, because we've all had negative experiences with those, but when they're used correctly, and they can be incredible. And I love the fact that you're doing it the right way and getting certified. So hopefully I can be a little bit more inspired to be like Sarah, and so can those listening. Let's go into lightning round, shall we?
Let's do it.
I don't have
just to say real quick, if there's any recruiters, look, I'm happy to talk to anybody on how to help people. So I'd be happy for you to call me or reach out, and we could chat.
That's true. And that's true. She's got a lot of amazing, just amazing treasures that she can share as far as strengthening your processes. Like I said, I've been inspired by Sarah multiple times on implementing things at Hire Integrated because of you. So thank you for your friendship and your openness.
Thank you, Emily. I really appreciate you.
Oh. All right, lightning round so you guys can get to know Sarah better. Home away from home, Sarah, where is it?
Park City, Utah.
Oh, but home away from home.
Home away from home. I mean, home is Vegas, but second home dream location, Park City.
Yeah, and you can find Sarah in Park City quite a bit. Favorite, if I ordered lunch for you right now, what restaurant are we going to?
Oh. For lunch?
Yeah.
I'm so boring. I don't really eat lunch.
Oh, goodness, girlfriend. You're not going to make friends telling girls that.
I feel like Settabello in Henderson is a great lunch spot.
Okay. All right. Next vacation, where are you headed?
We are heading to wine country. My husband's friend you grew up with is a winemaker and a chef, and he's an amazing guy. So we're heading to Central Coast of California.
Sarah and Al take over California.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to ask something not food related, but you're such a foodie. I have a hard time not going there. Let's end this off in the sense of any tips for recruiters, seeing that I feel like we've got a lot of recruiters. Number one thing they can make sure, number one tip for a recruiter, what's something you want to pull out of the hat for us?
Well, you mentioned it earlier, cold calling. I mean, it works, you guys. I don't know. I can't tell you how many clients I've gotten lately, even just from picking up the phone and talking to finance folks and hiring managers. It works. And, whether you're in accounting and finance or another sector, it still works. So might sound old school, but you can't always guarantee that those emails are getting through, the walls, so to speak. And just reach outreach. And that's what we're doing here today. It really does work.
Well, and I feel like when I have a successful cold call, there's nothing more invigorating than that cold call. It gives me such a good hires high. It doesn't last long, but when I do it and I get it right and I handled it and was able to make that connection in a short amount of time, man, do I feel great.
Yeah. And it's about momentum. I called a CEO a couple of weeks back and he called me back. You just never know what's going to happen. So I must've done something right. That happens like once a year, but it still happens, It
happened. It was worth it.
Yeah. So it works. So yeah, cold call. Do it, guys.
Sarah, thank you so much for going along with this and being my guest.
I'm so proud of you. This is super fun. This is like right up your alley. You're perfect for this. You're so good at it. So thank you.
I'm committed to doing this to the end of the year. Beginning of the year, I don't know if it's going to be an every week thing, but I do love it. I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you I didn't. I love it.
I can tell. We're so good. So thank you so much. And thank you all your viewers and everyone. Appreciate you guys.
All right. You guys know where to find Sarah. Thanks for hanging out with me today and have a great day.
Thanks, Emily. You too.